Welcome back to the Viking Update Show. He's John Krawczynski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. This is TalkNorth.com. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
It's Scott for Aquarius Home Services. Yep, Jack Frost is back, and he's not just nipping at your nose. He's eyeing your furnace and those leaky faucets, too. Don't let him crash your holidays. Call Aquarius and get $98 off any plumbing or furnace repair. Enjoy your holidays and let Aquarius take care of your home service needs. Schedule today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
And we're presented to you by Onyx Hunt, Onyx Maps, Onyx Fish, all that stuff. We'll tell you all about our sponsors later. First of all, end of the year, thank you to everyone who watches, listens, or has supported TalkNorth.com since we started this venture a number of years ago. Thanks to John for all of his quality work. He's contributed so much to the network. So, hey, thanks to our Talk North staffers, our CEO, everybody who has helped make this a success. I really do appreciate everybody's contributions. Let's get to it here. Let's start with what's really hanging over the franchise right now. Brian Flores is not guaranteed to be back. It seems like logic would dictate that he'll be back. I don't know about you, John. The more I ask people about why this isn't a done deal, why it's not a fait accompli, feels like there's something going on behind the scenes that is making this not the easy decision it should be.
Let's start with that. What do you think is complicating the situation right now?
I think this. And here's the tough thing, because listen, if you want to apply logic, if you want to talk about football, easiest decision ever. Throw money at him, sign him to a long-term deal, bring him back, roll on. Because I don't think he's going to head coaching job this cycle.
Right.
And in terms of football, I don't know why he'd want to leave or they would want him to leave. This is where it gets awkward. You know, you and I both, you've been a beat writer for a long time. I was a beat writer for a long time. There are times we kind of hear things and we know because of where they're coming from, that there's some fire behind that's causing the smoke. And yet you can't really talk about it because it wouldn't be fair, because it's too much in the realm of speculation and rumor. It's not substantiated. So I'm going to go be very vague here, just because I think it's important for fans to understand that it's not 100% he's going to be back. I just think there's stuff going on behind the scenes that makes it less than 100% he'll be back. I think logically he'll be back. But if he leaves in 5 days or 2 weeks or whatever, people shouldn't be completely shocked.
Yeah, so I would say this. If he leaves for another defensive coordinator position elsewhere, that certainly indicates that something was wrong behind the scenes or just wasn't going the right way. Obviously, if he were to leave for a head coaching job, you do that. That's no problem. And I agree with you, Jim. I don't foresee him getting a job in this hiring cycle. I think that, unfortunately for him, that the lawsuit that he went through it really was very principled and right-minded and took a stand. But when you do that, the good old boys club is going to circle the wagons and be very concerned about making a hire, especially someone of color, to bring in who's already rattled cages to the degree that Brian Flores has in his career. And so it's already hard enough for a black coordinator to get a head coaching job. It's even harder for a black head coach to get a second head coaching job. And then you throw on top of it the rancor and the lawsuit from the Miami situation. Like, that just makes things almost untenable, I think, unfortunately, for owners, even though he deserves to get another chance at a head coaching job. Like, I know that Ian O'Connor from our place wrote after the Giants win about how it was just an enormous mistake that the Giants made in choosing Brian Daboll over Brian Flores. And there's all of those arguments to be made. But if he does not get that job, a job and a head job, and then has to leave for somewhere else, yes, that indicates that there is something amiss behind the scenes. And that would be, I don't think it's hyperbole to say tragic for the Vikings. When you look at, I just take a look at what happened to the Lions offense when Ben Johnson left for Chicago. I think you could foresee a similar drop off from the Vikings defense if Brian Flores leaves for elsewhere. And so that it's a really, really, really important thing for the Vikings to figure out and get cleared up, get locked down, or whatever euphemism or description you want to have. But bringing Brian Flores back for next season should be a top priority for the organization. And if there are any wrinkles to be ironed out to make that happen, that just needs to happen, because he is their best chance for putting a winning product on the field next year, is to have him calling the plays defensively.
It's going to be very interesting. I'll just say that. And it's going to be very interesting. And if he leaves, I don't know that we'll ever have clarity on why he leaves, but it's just something to watch. This is the biggest development probably of the off season. And there's a lot of smoke around this, and it's going to, I don't know how else to talk about it, but if he just resigns, then we can move on with our lives. But if he doesn't, then it's going to be really interesting to see how the organization talks about it. All right, let's get to more stuff that's purely based on the field. We are talking here on Wednesday morning. We don't know at what point this week that Kevin O'Connell is going to make a decision on who's playing quarterback, but it might be later in the week, because he's basically said he wants J.J. McCarthy play if J.J. McCarthy can grip a ball and throw the ball effectively. In other words, he might not even have to practice this week with the team to be out there. They want J.J. McCarthy to play. I don't think there's much to be gained for having Max Brosmer go out there again. Do you think this week is important for J.J. McCarthy at all?
I've been trying to think about that this week as I've been looking forward to this game and really kind of digesting everything around the situation. And where I've landed on it, Jim, is that I do think it would be great to see J.J. McCarthy out there one more time, and ideally to play well, and kind of continue the upward progression that he did prior to the hand injury, and the much better command of the offense, the better synchronicity with Kevin O'Connell. All of those things would be really, really nice to see going into the offseason. That said, given the injury, and given kind of what we saw prior to it, I don't think it's a prerequisite that he plays and plays well to make a determination on what they do going into next season. I believe that given everything you have invested in J.J. McCarthy, and given Kevin O'Connell's time and time again stated kind of theory of organizations fail quarterbacks more than quarterbacks fail organizations, I think you do give him another chance next year. I also think that you do need to go get a bona fide backup veteran quarterback who can be a really helpful player on the field should McCarthy get injured or struggle again. And so with all of that kind of as the backdrop, I don't think one game should change that determination, either way. I just think that it would be nice to have McCarthy out there and finish the season on a decent note going into the offseason. But if he does not play, or if he really is injured and could be hurt more or just really play poorly, then go with Max Brosmer, because the game really doesn't matter at all. And so that's kind of where I stand. I just think that this is the die is cast going forward, unless I don't know something or I'm missing something, and the Vikings are going to pivot to Mac Jones, Joe Burrow, pursue whatever it is. Like, I think that you just go forward and whatever happens this week doesn't really play a huge factor in the determination of things going into the offseason.
Agreed. I think if he plays well, there's upside in him playing well. He could go into the offseason having beaten each of the division opponents and having come very close to going 5-1, if not for that Bears kickoff return. I think the positives are great. If he plays badly, we'll all just shrug, It wouldn't be a great sign, but he's also dealing with the hand. He hasn't practiced much lately. There'll be excuses to be had. I just think he's their guy. Yeah. And I agree that he should be their guy. I think the bad was really bad this year, but the good was really good. And that's exactly the job of a coach, is to get the good more often. And I think he's coachable. He's athletic. I think he needs to get a little bigger and stronger, which is something at his age you can still do. You can get bigger and stronger when you're 22, 23 years old. I think he got through the roughest parts of his career, and I think he's a good player, And I just think they need a Gardner Minshew, a peak Case Keenum type, somebody who can be a good backup. So if he's out for a week or a month, you have a chance to stay in the fight. I think this guy has a chance to be really good.
I agree. I think we have seen enough to keep going forward with some optimism. And I mean, regardless, this was, no matter what happened this year, this was his first year as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. And yes, we have seen instances in the past of really good players just be very good from the start in their careers and have really good seasons and just go for and build from it from there. But we've also seen plenty of instances where it does take guys time, certainly, a couple of starts at least. And so I do think that when you sign up for going and building around a young quarterback, this is what you sign up for. You sign up for some ups and downs early. You have to trust in your evaluation of the player that you can continue to see him grow and mature and develop into the leader, and that in year 2, after having however many starts he has this year under his belt, he should come into next season with more confidence, with more of an idea, more clarity on what needs to happen for him to take the next step. And one thing I think that we did learn from JJ McCarthy this season is that it was underscored to me how important this is to him. And so I go into this offseason trusting that he is going to do all the work that he can possibly do to get himself ready. And then, Jim, if you get into next season and he's still in and out of the lineup with various injuries, then you have a 3-year sample of kind of injury prone, or however you want to determine it. And then maybe you make a decision of look, maybe this guy is really talented, but he just can't stay healthy. And then maybe after next season, you would decide to look for other things. But given what we have seen from him on the field in really big spots, playing well, making big plays, improving as the season goes along, I do believe he deserves another chance next season with a real plan behind him, and not just kind of a throw the noodles against the wall and see what sticks kind of situation that the Vikings went into this season with the quarterback room behind JJ McCarthy.
Let's get to the pack, this week's games, the playoffs, everything else that's going on. If you're an ice fisher person, or if you want to wait till the ice melts, hey, let Onyx Fish help you find the next best bite. The Fish app offers the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your success. Use the Fish app to find new places to fish and sort lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potential. Onyx Fish also shows you hot spots, lake by lake regulations, and private and public land ownership information. Download Onyx Fish on the App Store or go to onyxmaps.com/fish to get more information about the app that is changing the game. We'd also like to thank Twill and the Edina Galleria. Twill's been sponsoring shows on this network since I started this thing up. It's Twill by Scott Dayton and the Edina Galleria. And even now that we're past the official gift giving of the holidays, guess what? There's still people out there who would appreciate a gift card. You might want to go get something you didn't get for Christmas. And this time of year is a great time to buy. You can find some very rare discounts at the store, but you can also find stuff that's really warm and really comfortable that actually looks good. That's been such a big deal for me. I'm not a big fan of cold weather, and to be able to wear nice looking clothes that actually keep you warm. Tool's got tons of stuff. They have all the best brands. Scott personally handpicks the brands and what's in his store. Go out there, tell them we sent you, and enjoy the Dining Gallery. Great place to shop. All right, so Packer Week. I hate the fact that it's not a meaningful game. You know, I've been in town since 1990. You grew up here, and I came here to cover the Vikings, and Packer Viking Week has always been special, and this feels really blah.
It really does. And that's unfortunate. You know, the schedule comes out at the start of the year, and you're looking at this game, the final game of the regular season, and you're saying, man, there could be a lot of stakes, you know, on this thing, you know, with two teams that expected to be right in the hunt for the division championship, that expected to be in the playoff hunt, coming off of good seasons, high hopes. And you're like, this could be, you know, one of those games. Hey, yeah, you flex it to Sunday night, or you do, you know, you make this a big time event. And instead it's going to be very underwhelming, anticlimactic way to end this season. And I mean, there's still whenever these two teams play, these two fan bases kind of, you know, can get a few drinks in them and jog each other. That it's fun, but it's just, I'm not dreading walking into the stadium on Sunday because it's going to be fun, but it's just going to be a bummer to walk in and just know that there's nothing to really be gained in this game besides maybe one, you know, move up the draft board one spot or something like that, if that's even in the cards.
And talk about going into the stadium, it really struck me how good the atmosphere was for a meaningless Lions game. Mm-hmm. And it also struck Harrison Smith. I mean, he was very emotional after the game because, you know, he doesn't know if he has one game left in his career. He says he hasn't made a decision. I want to see him come back the way he's playing right now. But he was really taken. He was kind of blown away by the fact that you play a meaningless game on Christmas Day, and that crowd shows up and is that into it. And it struck me too. That was a blast on Christmas.
Well, that's the thing is like, the beauty of the NFL is that it has conditioned the fan base to put so much emphasis on 1 week. And so I think like that it does insulate a little bit against kind of maybe the feeling or the instinct for a fan to be like, this game, who doesn't matter, who really cares? Like literally you go into these games and as long as your team isn't 2-14, I think that you can watch on the field as well. And all the players go as hard as they possibly can. There's really no way to like go halfway, in an NFL game. You know, we see it in basketball. Maybe you can see it in baseball. You take a bat at bat, or you just kind of loaf around a little bit. But in football, if you go out there and do that, you're going to get hurt. And so, once you get to the stadium, once you get into your seat and you get around your people and you are part of, this one show a week type of a situation, it puts value on each game in a way that isn't there in any other sport. And so that does help for sure. But also I also think it speaks to this kind of yearning inside each fan to see their team, that even if they're disappointed in what they've done, like this game, if they play well, I'm going to get my money's worth kind of a thing. And so in that respect, I do think you're still going to see and feel some energy in the crowd on Sunday because it is the Packers. And no matter what this season has been, if the season ends with them beating the Packers, no matter who's at quarterback, no matter if Micah Parsons is out there or not, whatever, it's still going to be a good feeling inside Vikings fans walking out and looking at, you know, the cheeseheads that are walking out with them and sniping and chirping at them a little bit. And so there just is value. There's so much value in each game in this regular season that that it does lend itself to a better atmosphere, late in seasons that are lost than you would see in the NBA or in baseball or hockey or anything like that.
It's so true. I grew up loving baseball, and I just can't watch meaningless baseball games anymore.
No.
As soon as the Twins are out of it, I'm done, and I lose interest in the rest of baseball unless the playoffs end up being good. Then I might tune back in, which I did last year because the playoffs ended up being very good, and the World Series is great. But as soon as you say, okay, this game means nothing, I just can't watch that stuff. I really have trouble. And basketball, as you said, you can loaf on a basketball court.
No doubt.
The idea that NBA players don't play defense is bogus, but when you have an 82-game schedule, you're not going to be at your best every night. And when you're not at your best, it means you're a step slow defensively. It's just the way that league is. Even hockey, as much as hockey players love and the hockey people love to talk about their culture and all that, you see hockey teams not having it some nights, and they get lit up. Football, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's cool. And it was so cool for Harrison Smith to sort of let the Iron Curtain down a bit. And he has done that a couple of times this season. And that all would seem to kind of point toward one certain outcome on what's going to happen. But you never know. Like, I thought last year he was done, Jim. I thought, I thought that was going to be it. And he came back. And what I love about Harrison Smith this season has been he did come back. There were times, especially early in the season, where it's kind of like, where is he? But over the course of this year, he's been very, very good and very important to this team. And so if this is the last season, he's going to go out with dignity, and he's going to go out playing at a very high level. And if it's not the last season, he comes back, and even if he plays a little bit, less impactful next year, whatever, who cares? He's had an unbelievable career. And just to see the humanity that he is sort of allowing us to see here down the stretch with him and his emotions and how much this means to him, like, that's the kind of stuff that I just eat up, because he's given his heart and soul to this team and this franchise and this city for a long, long time. And it can be difficult to grapple with as it's coming to an end and you're trying to figure out what the rest of your life looks like. But to see that he is being able to soak it all up and appreciate in the moment what all of this means, even in a season that has not gone the way that he had hoped it would go from a team success standpoint, man, it's just been so memorable. Like, this has been a forgettable season, but not in what we have seen from Harrison Smith and what he's shared with us. It's been amazing.
A couple more things I want to talk about in terms of Harrison. Let's also talk about what this division looks like now and what it might mean for next year. We do want to thank the Minnesota State Lottery.
She's Jen, the ultimate Vikings fan.
Welcome to the Vikings Jan Show Fan Show. My special guest today is Victor, the Vikings mascot. Victor, who you got for the Vikings game this week? I'll take that as Vikings. So that's our show. We'd like to thank our sponsor, the Minnesota Lottery, who reminds you this could be your year. So play the new Vikings Scratch game for a shot at $100,000, game tickets, and more. Minnesota Lottery. I'm in. Must be 18 or older to play.
And here's TalkNorth.com star Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
So first of all, that ailment he had that kept him from working out hard this summer, kept him from, out of training camp, basically. I mean, it's pretty obvious that was the cause of his unimpactful play early in the season. I mean, he's always smart. He's always in the right place, but he just wasn't explosive. And it's hard to play football not being explosive. Once he started rounding into shape, he's been their best safety by far.
No doubt.
By far. He's integral to the way they line up and read offenses. He's also what jumped out at me and probably everybody else too. That interception he made, the tackle for loss, the sack, those were explosive plays. He looked like he was in his prime. And if you can get that out of him, anything like that out of him, he's still one of your best players. So I've gone in the last month or so from thinking he shouldn't come back and he won't come back to thinking he should come back and I hope he comes back.
Yeah. And I think like that's an important sort of distinction in terms of like the way that we try to analyze this certain scenario, this specific scenario, because I do get squeamish a little bit when I try to think about, when I try to talk about these great players at the ends of their careers. And generally speaking, I might err toward trying to push them out the door a little bit early and like, hey, just like, don't be Willie Mays falling in the outfield. Like, go out with your head held high. But then, Jim, I always think back on it and, maybe in the moment when they are struggling, in their last year and it doesn't look good, you feel bad for them or, it's sort of a ignominious sort of exit. But 5 years, 10 years from now, when you look back at what Harrison Smith does, you're not looking back at his last year. You're looking back at, years 1 through 10 of this and just like how great of a player he was. And so, I am okay with an elite player saying, yeah, I'm coming back for one more year. I want to squeeze everything possible I can out of this. And if it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well. But I think they sometimes earn the right to make that decision on their own. But to your point, the way that he is playing, it is foreseeable that he comes back next year and is still a really good player for this defense and a really important one. Maybe you have to kind of have him on a little bit more of a pitch count and you kind of reserve him. That's okay. What I've loved, what I've seen from him, in the last second half of this season is not only the big plays, but also you just see the way that he plays mind games with the quarterback in the pre-snap. And that what he brings to the table there in Brian Flores' defense is invaluable. And so he can still do that and play the mental part of the game as well as anyone. It's just going to be a matter of how much more can he physically offer. And if he's too hurt, if he's too banged up, then hey, call it, Harrison. It's been amazing. Let's not have you limping in your 90s or in your 80s because of what you're doing right now. But that may happen anyway. But I think that he is playing at a level that if he wants to come back, it won't be just a ceremonial thing. No. It will be, he's coming back as an asset to this defense and one that can be relied upon in big spots. And he's proven that this year again.
I was going to get into a discussion on the division. We're going to have lots of time to talk about that kind of stuff. I think I'm going to table that and wrap this show up. But just what, other than McCarthy playing well, give me one thing you'd like to see on Sunday.
One thing I'd like to see on Sunday is I would like to see some semblance of Justin Jefferson in his prime, big time playmaking situation. And it may be different if Brosmer's playing, if it's McCarthy hurt, maybe that's impossible to recreate. But one of the unfortunate things about this season has been that this unbelievably talented player who I think had a very real argument to be the best non-quarterback in the league, for the last 3-4 years, as he's just like completely blown up all of the expectations for him and, the records and all those things. It's just that it's been a meh year for Justin Jefferson. And so if he could go out scoring a touchdown or two, making a couple of big plays, it would be just cool to see that. I have zero doubts that next year he will be back to the, number 1, number 2 receiver in the NFL. If he gets a little more reliable quarterback play and all of that. But it's been unfortunate just to watch how this season has played out for him. And so I'd like to see him go out on a high note with a big game against a division rival.
I think that's the correct answer to that question. I will offer a corollary, but mine isn't as important as yours because I think you're right. I would like to see Aaron Jones have a big game, come out of the season healthy, and just establish that he's the number 1 running back going into next year, and they don't have to spend assets at that position right now. We saw some things from Scott where I really like Scott as an all-around back. Maybe he develops into a starter down the road. Jordan Mason was a good player who fumbled too much, but a good player. And honestly, let's be honest, they're not going to be a running team. They're just not going to be a running team because Kevin O'Connell loves to throw the ball. So I just think Aaron Jones fits everything so well in this organization. The way he plays, his versatility, his intelligence, his ability to hurt defenses that are worried about the pass. So I would like to see him just kind of establish himself as going in the offseason. They don't have to spend assets at the running back position, and they can feel pretty good about him starting week 1 next year.
Yeah, and playing the Packers, like there'd be some poetry in that as well. Yep. So he's been a great addition to this locker room, and then also just as a producer on the field when he's been healthy. So yeah, that would be a nice bow on the end of the season as well.
Yes. Good stuff, John. I appreciate it. Please, everybody, check out the John Krawczynski Show as well. Happy New Year. We'll be talking to you in the new year. And I say it over and over and over, but I say it because it's true. I just appreciate so much the people I get to work with on the network, people who help us, our producers, our executives at talknorth.com, our advertisers. We would not exist without our advertisers. So I want to thank them again. And hey, really, Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon. I was going to get into a discussion on the division. We're going to have lots of time to talk about that kind of stuff. I think I'm going to table that and wrap this show up. But just what, other than McCarthy playing well, give me one thing you'd like to see on Sunday.
One thing I'd like to see on Sunday is I would like to see some semblance of Justin Jefferson in his prime, big time playmaking situation. And it may be different if Brosmer's playing, if it's McCarthy hurt, maybe that's impossible to recreate. But one of the unfortunate things about this season has been that this unbelievably talented player who I think had a very real argument to be the best non-quarterback in the league, for the last 3-4 years, as he's just like completely blown up all of the expectations for him and, the records and all those things. It's just that it's been a meh year for Justin Jefferson.